Today we're going to do the Lamed Ches Lamed Beis. We finished off yesterday the two dots all the way at the bottom of Lamed Ches Lamed Aleph. Says the Gemara, we're quoting from the Mishnah, Chalas Teda or the Kikei Nazir. We said inside the Mishnah that if you have the bread of the carbon Teda and so to the crackers of the Nazir, if you made it for yourself, if the Nazir made it for himself, he's not Yetzechi Matzah with it. But if you made it to sell, meaning if a person makes it to sell to Nazirim in the marketplace, then he's Yetzeh. Says the Gemara, immediately, where's the market that you cannot be Yetzechi Matzah with Chalas Teda and the crackers of the Nazir? Amar Rabbi says the Amakra. The market is because it says in the pasuk. The pasuk says you should guard the matzis, meaning that you should guard the matzis from becoming for the mitzvah of matzah. So it says the Gemara matzah mishtames l'shem mitzvah l'shem matzah yatzazu l'shem matzah yatzazu shem mishtames l'shem matzah l'shem ela l'shem zeva. We only yetzechiv matzah with a matzah that's guarded for the mitzvah of matzah. When you ask for lishma for matzah, if you have chalas nazir or chalav teda, so they're not guarded for the mitzvah of matzah, they're guarded for a different mitzvah, for teda or for nazir. So therefore, since they're being used for different mitzvah, they are not yet tzechir. Matzah has to be b'shma dafka for matzahs. That's one market. Another market is the Yosef Haman, and Yosef says, Amakra says in the pasuk, Shivas Yamim matzahs techel. You should eat matzahs for 7 days. Matzah nachelos Shivas Yamim. You only yet b'chiv matzah that is eaten for 7 days. That the matzah has to be edible for 7 days. Yatzazu she'enu nachelos Shivas Yamim eliyim v'layla. So from here we learn now that you cannot be Yetzechi Matzah from the Chalas Teda and the Kikei Nazir because they cannot be eaten for 7 days. They have a time limit when you're supposed to eat them. They have to be eaten only for 1 day and 1 night. If not, it becomes Neisar, and Neisar is Aser to be eaten. So now we have one limit from Rabbi, one limit from Rabbi. Rabbi said that it's mitzad ushmatim samatzis, and Rabbi said it's mitzad shivas sham matzis techel. Says the Gemara Tanikav said the Rabbi, Tanikav said the Rabbi. We have a brayso that brings a marker like Rabbi. We have a brayso that brings a marker like Rabbi. Tanikav said the Rabbi, the brayso that says like Rabbi says Yochal you say you dechavase b'chalas teda or Kikei Nazir. The brayso asks, maybe you could think that you could be Yetzechiv Matzah with the challah of a carbon Teda and the crackers of a carbon Nazir. Talmud Hemar says the pasuk ushmartim samatzis, the guard the matzis. Says the brayso matzah mishtameres l'shem matzah. The matzah has to be guarded for the sake of matzah. Yatzazu, this comes to exclude in the Kikei Teda and the Kikei, the lech Teda, the Kikei Nazir, she'ein mishtameres l'shem matzah, which is not guarded, which is not made for matzah. Elu l'shem zavach, it's made for carbon, and therefore you're not yetz, which is exactly like the limud of Rabbi. Says the Gemara further. Tanikav said the Rabbi. We have another brayso that brings a marker like Rabbi Yosef's marker. The brayso asks exactly the same thing. Can a person be yetze chiv matzah with mechala of carbon Teda and the crackers of carbon nazir? Talmud the pasuk says shivas sheva matzah techelo. That you have to eat matzah for 7 days. Matzah nechel so shiva matzah has to be eaten, has to be able to be eaten for 7 days. Yatzazu she'enu nechel so shiva elim v'layla, which comes to exclude the matzah. The matzah which is made from the carbon Teda or the carbon of a nazir, because it can only be eaten for a day and a night. It never becomes nicer. So even though the Rabbi and Yosef have different opinions of where to learn out from, they both have a market in a brayso. Says the Gemara asked the question, instead of learning out from Shiva Shama Matzah Techel, instead of Rabbi learning out from Shmatim Samatzah, says the Gemara Tepukle Milachameni. Why doesn't he learn out from Shmatzah Chameni? And we said a few amudim ago that we learn that from Lachameni Misha Nachaban Ninos, that the matzah has to be eaten in a time when a person is Einen Yatza Zesh and Nachaban Ninos, which comes to exclude the matzahs which are made from karbanes that cannot be eaten in the time when a person is Einen Ela B'Simcha, can only be eaten in a time when a person is B'Simcha. So instead of learning out from different limud from Shmatim some matzahs or shivas yam matzah techelo, we have a limud from matzah gufa that matzah is called lechem, and which means it has to be able to be eaten in a time when a person is baninos. Mashiach carbon cannot be eaten in a time when a person is baninos. Therefore, you cannot be yetzechiv matzah with a carbon. Says the Gemara Savala, he learns out. So the Gemara answers that these tanoim, these two brides that we wrote down before, that they bring different limudim, hold like Rabbi Akiva. The Amar that Rabbi Akiva says Eini Ksiv, that we learned a few times. It doesn't say Eini with the aleph. Eini with, if it would say Eini with an aleph, it would imply that Eini has to be able to eat it. But it doesn't say Eini with aleph. It says Eini with the ayin. That which says Eini with the ayin is to teach us something else. But that you can't matzah sheda. But Rabbi Akiva argued this rule and says even if Einin cannot eat the matzah, he's still yetze chiv matzah. Says the Gemara, so okay. So now we answer why we don't learn out from lechem bein. So says the Gemara, they have any matzah sheda instead of finding a limud to say these two matzahs, the lechem of a carbon, the matzah of a carbon teda, and the matzah of a carbon nazir are puzzles. Why do we have to have a special limud? Typically, the matzah sheira learn out from, say, it's possible because it's matzah sheira, because inside these two carbonates they would mix in oil, and oil makes something matzah sheira. So why do you have to find a special limud to learn out from a different puzzle? Now this matzah is puzzle, and we have it. The matzah itself is puzzle because it's matzah sheira. Amar of Shmuel, but Yitzchak says no. The amount of oil that we put inside the matzah of the carbon teda and the carbon nazir is only a reviz. It's only a very tiny small amount of oil. It's only a reviz, and this reviz was divided into how much of chalas. It comes out, and each challah had a tiny, minute amount of oil, and therefore it's not called matzah asher because there wasn't enough oil to render matzah asher. Ask more further. Typically, if something more of a typically, the instead of learning out from the psukim, like we said before, why don't we learn out from a different thing? We can learn out these matzahs of psulim from that which is not eaten. It cannot. We said before, they have to be able to eat matzah in every place. But these two matzahs, the lechem of carbon, the matzah of carbon nazi, and the matzah of carbon teda can only be eaten in shalayim, as opposed to matzah which has to be eaten in everywhere. So instead of finding a different limud, we have a limud we mentioned before already. Shlakish answered, from here we see that the chalis teda, the kicking us, the carbon teda, and the carbon nazir, were given. To be able to eat, were eaten in neiv and given. What does that mean? It means that after the churban of after the churban of the Mishkan in Shilai, the Mishkan in Shilai was there for 310 years, and after it was destroyed, there was the mizbeach was in neiv and given. They moved the mizbeach from a place neiv. And then they moved it to given, but there wasn't. So the says in that time that it was a neiv and given, there wasn't a complete mishkan over there. And in that time, matzah was able to be eaten everywhere. Not dafke. Even though these places were not in Yerushalayim, matzah was able to be eaten in any place. So from here we see that even though after the base mikdash was built in Yerushalayim, you have to eat it dafke in Yerushalayim. But since there was a time that matzah, that these two matzahs, the carbon teda and the carbon nazir, could be eaten outside Yerushalayim, when the time that in between Mishkan Shila and Yerushalayim, so therefore you can still be eaten with this chiyuv matzah. Tanya Amar Rabbi Loi says the Gemara bring a brayso. Rabbi Loi said, "Shaltis Rabbi Lezer, I asked Rabbi Lezer, Ma'u she'etza adam machalis teda l'kikun nazir." I asked Rabbi Lezer, what's the din? Can a person be eaten chiyuv matzah with a carbon teda or the crackers of a nazir? Amarli, he told me, I never heard anything about this, even though we just brought a clear Mishnah that said that you could be Eitzah, but he never heard about it. Basi Vishalti, so I took the same question and I asked the same Rabbi Shua. I went to Rabbi Shua and asked Rabbi Shua, did you hear anything about this? Amarli, Rabbi Shua answered to me, what do you mean? There's a clear, the Chacham said clearly, Chalis Teida, that the bread of a carbon Teida, or the cake of Nazir and the crackers of a Nazir, Shasan Latzman, if you're making it for yourself, ain't other Yetzibam, then you cannot be Yetzer. But if you make use as a business and you make it to sell in the marketplace, to the Nazirim, or to people who need to bring carbon Teida, Yetzibam, and then you can be Yetzer. So he asked me if he has information about it, and he answered that there's a clear mission that says if you make it for yourself, it's also if you make it to sell, it's mutter. So I said, I went back to Rabbi Lezer said I never heard anything about it. So I went back to Rabbi Lezer and I told him, what do you mean? There's a clear mission that says that you could use them. So he told me bris. Bris means a shvua. I swear to you. What? I swear that dvarim that these are the things that was said to Moshe Messina. Meaning he agreed and said this din is so accurate that was given to Moshe Messina, and he's masking to this din. Some people say no, the story happened differently. He didn't mean to say that he's masking to this din, and therefore you could be yetz with the matzah. He meant to say something else. Bris. He meant to say like this. Bris. I'm making a promise. Dvarim shenamru lein Moshe Messina. Boy, you're telling me that these things, this is Allah Moshe Sinai, and there's no reasoning behind it. Meaning, if it was Allah Moshe Sinai, if it was Allah Moshe Sinai, there's no reason. Yeah, there's Allah Moshe Sinai. You don't have to find a reason for it, and that's it. But if it's this thing, we don't have a Kabbalah that's Allah Moshe Sinai, and if we don't have a Kabbalah of Allah Moshe Sinai, you have to give a reasoning. If we don't give a reasoning, then I'm not agreeing to this din. So there's a big argument whether he agreed there was Allah Moshe Sinai or he argued with this din. Says the Gemara, by the end of the day, what is actually the reason that if you make it for yourself, then you cannot eat it? If you make it to sell in the marketplace, you could eat it. Rabbi said, if you make it to sell in the marketplace, you're going to change your mind. It could be that you're going to change your mind. You're going to eat them for yourself, even though you made it lechatchila. You're a baker, and you made it lechatchila to sell in the marketplace. But still, you still have in mind that if there's any leftovers, you're going to bring them back home for supper. And therefore, Amar, this person is going to say, if I sell them, good. If I don't sell them, I'll use them myself. And therefore, since if you make them for yourself, you make carbon tater for yourself, so you the fairies didn't have kavanah to make it into matzah. You had kavanah to use it for carbon tater, and therefore no yetz. But if you make it sell in the marketplace, you didn't have a fairy kavanah not to be yetz. At the back of your mind, you had kavanah that if these things are not going to be sold for carbon tater, I'm going to have them for chiv matzah. And therefore, if you make them sell in the marketplace, it's mutter to use it for chiv matzah. Stop it right at the bottom of right at the bottom of Lamed Ches Mabez. We're going to start tomorrow. Mit Hashem Lamed Tes Amid Aleph. Have a good night.